Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Sunday's round of thunderstorms resulted in numerous reports of damaging winds involving some power outages and downed tree limbs. We get a break from these conditions Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday, scattered thunderstorms that may be capable of some damaging winds, some large hail. We'll monitor any tornado potential. Late Wednesday is when from the northwest the heavy rain threat arrives with a widespread potential for some flooding concerns Thursday and Thursday night. So through the work week, a general 1 to 2 inches expected, locally higher amounts possible. The exception is the eastern panhandle, generally under a ½ inch. This evening, a few showers possible near Elkins. Those conditions will fade away into the overnight hours with a patchwork of clouds lingering. Generally dry Tuesday and into Wednesday. Then it's late Wednesday we look northwest for the arrival of the rain. FlyCRW forecast, it starts at home. You'll find a wet and cooler stretch the next couple of days in Chicago. D.C. getting stormy in the later part of the week, rising to 95 by Thursday. Charlotte trending warmer and generally quieter the next several days. Panhandle forecast. A clear and cool night. Many areas falling below average. 52 Moundsville, 78 here for our Tuesday, 75 Morgantown with some sunshine. Going east, more temperatures in upper 40s and low 50s. Generally finding additional 80s here for our Tuesday. Martinsburg, Petersburg at 81. Davis, a cool spot with 68. We'll see additional temperatures shy of the 50-degree mark tonight with Elkins is 48. 74 here tomorrow, looking to Ripley for 78 with some sun. And then as we go southward, more mid-40s to low 50s, then highs in mid to upper 70s on Tuesday. Trending warmer through Thursday, lingering precipitation Friday, sunny and seasonable Saturday.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
5, 3.
Red 57! Red 57! Hot, hot!
I don't believe what I just saw.
Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened-to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
Across the state of West Virginia, good evening, everybody. We welcome you into a special edition of the CityNet Statewide Sportsline from Omaha, Nebraska. Tony Caridi along with Brad Howe. Thanks for being with us. We've got Greg Hunter and Kyle Wiggs standing by at our studios in Morgantown. And tonight is a day of recap and looking ahead for the West Virginia University baseball team inside the College World Series. Mountaineers practicing today. After last night's tough loss to the Tar Heels of North Carolina, they return to action coming up tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and it will be a rematch of Game 1 of this tournament, West Virginia against Troy. So a lot of things to get into. On the positive side, guys, the weather continues to be as good as possible, so you'll have another great weather day tomorrow. And this event continues to roll. It continues to build in momentum.
It is beautiful out here, Tony. It's unseasonably cool in terms of the humidity. We had a nice breeze today. And, yeah, you're back at it tomorrow, and we've seen this from West Virginia. We'll get into the disappointment of last night and what happened during the game, but now it's incumbent upon West Virginia to get back to work today, as it did, as you said, with a practice over at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, as they try and retool and go to work again tomorrow against Troy for the second game against the Trojans here in Omaha and seeing if they can do what they did a couple weeks ago in the regional and battle their way back through the losers bracket.
All right, let's jump in here. And text line, by the way, is open.
304-8255-304. That's 304-TALK-304 if you'd like to weigh in this evening.
Okay, so you're a former baseball player, college level. What is your synopsis or summary of last night's West Virginia game?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to say this, and you heard each player that was interviewed after the game and Steve Sabins echo these thoughts, and it's one of those guys where you just say, it's baseball, right? And it's a game of inches, and that saying was developed around baseball. And we saw that last night. How many times did West Virginia hit the ball square on the nose and it went right at somebody, turning into an out or a double play? We saw the opposite from North Carolina, especially in the first inning when they got off to that lead. A couple of seeing eye singles, a hit by pitch that went the way against West Virginia. That got North Carolina on the board 2-0. We'll get into the play with Armani Guzman stealing third, which I thought was a massive moment in that game. Originally called safe. Upon a long review, they ruled him out. That potentially not only changed an inning, maybe the game. You would have been staring at second and third there with less than 2 outs. So it was one of those games where the breaks went North Carolina's way. They made some of those. That's not a criticism, but the ball bounced North Carolina's way more often than it did West Virginia's. There's some numbers to back that up that we'll get into. The triple, the bases, the two-run triple for North Carolina that gave them the lead. If you go back and watch that pitch, that's a great pitch by Max Yale. That was down and away, and Gallagher took it, drove it in the gap, got home a couple runs. So one of those games where North Carolina made the plays, WVU did not, and of course the two errors were the difference in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this North Carolina deserved to win the game based upon the way they play. But to your point, and I think it's well stated, sometimes you get the breaks. I thought West Virginia got the breaks in the Troy game. Did not happen in the North Carolina game. And then, again, did not decide the outcome, but did have a big role in the game, and that is the decision at third base on the throwdown from the catcher, and initially called safe, overruled out, lengthy look at it from the video side of things. And guys back in Morgantown, Coach Hunter there and Kyle is there. The debate is this. If it takes that long to make a call, then it's probably not indisputable. Coach Hunter, as a veteran ballpark softball umpire, we want to get your take on exactly what you thought of that.
Well, all the video reviews we had over at Ballpark, I'm not certain I've seen one that it has been as lengthy as that. Now, I mean, you're right in that regard. At some point you got to say, okay, this is what we see, and if it takes too long, then you just have to go with the initial call. I actually think that the reversal was right, just in my naked eye view of watching the replay. But when it took that long, there was a moment you go, okay, you got to figure this one out and move forward. If you have to look at 75 views, is this justifiable? So, that's one of those. But you guys said it. I mean, yeah, we talk about so many sports throughout the year, but every one of them comes down to the same thing: who plays a cleaner game? Who has fewer turnovers in football? Who has fewer turnovers in basketball? Yeah. Who doesn't make the error in baseball? It's a team that has fewer mistakes that ultimately wins, and it was close, but North Carolina had fewer mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with Greg in a sense that they got it right. There
were some great pitching performances. I thought Max Yale.
Go right ahead, Wiggy.
No, go ahead. Like I said, I would agree with Greg in that I think that after the review drives you crazy, but I think they ultimately got it right. And I say this only half jokingly. They put in video review, the SSAC did, for the state softball and baseball tournaments this year. They're the only state in the country that did it, that they're that far ahead of the curve that they were the only state in the country that had review for softball and baseball for the championship events. None of their reviews took more than 2 minutes over 3 weeks of softball and baseball. And like you said, if there's not evidence immediately to overturn the call, it stands. So it can be done. You can figure out how to do it and figure out how to do it efficiently. Somehow, some way, they've figured it out in West Virginia high school sports.
Yeah, and that's a shame because that was a big moment, and I think I stand on the opposite side of you guys. I'm not sure they got it right, and again they called it safe, but that's neither here nor there. On the other side of it, the pitching performance by Maxiell was tremendous. That's what you wanted. You got him going into the seventh inning, and he was throwing well. He got over the hump in that first inning where West Virginia gave up 2, but it's not like anything was hit hard. I mean, he was really dealing there for a long stretch. You shortened that game. You made it into just a 3-inning game, hoping to get by late, and instead North Carolina came up with the timely hit after the 2 errors by West Virginia that proved to be the difference. I credit North Carolina, Walker McDuffie, coming out of the bullpen. I thought he was excellent in long relief there. You got the starter out of the game, which is your intention, and then he came in and he did a nice job against West Virginia and pitched extremely well. So, again, guys, you get to this stage of the game and the margin for error is very, very thin. These are all excellent teams. The ball bounced West Virginia's way against Troy on Friday. You walk out with a win. It did not, and Carolina made more plays than you did yesterday. You take a loss. And, Tony, we said earlier today on the new 3 Guys Before the Game, the nice thing about this, fellas, is it didn't end your season. Now, the road got a lot tougher. There's more twists and turns and bumps in this road, but you still have life and you have a chance, and you go back at it tomorrow against Troy and see if you can fight your way back through the other bracket.
And it's difficult to win in this thing. Here's another example of it. We already saw Ole Miss eliminated yesterday, and earlier this afternoon, Texas, Alabama, the 6th seed against the 7th seed. Texas, after losing its first game in an elimination game against the Crimson Tide, Texas wallops Alabama by a final score of 14-2. So 8 teams in this tournament is now down to 6. And tomorrow it will go down to 5 in the West Virginia and Troy game. And, again, that will begin at 2 p.m. We invite you to stay tuned. We are coming to you. We have moved the Encova studios. I mean, we split the Encova studios.
Health Plan Studios, you mean? Health Plan Studios.
Yeah, the Health Plan Studios. The Health Plan Studios, the Health Plan Studios. Maybe I should do the show more often. The Health Plan Studios. So we're in Omaha and also operating in Morgantown. We invite you to stay tuned. We'll do some text coming up in just a little bit, talking West Virginia University baseball. What does it all mean? Look ahead toward Troy. Also, want to touch a little bit on the significance that this is having as a whole going forward to the WVU program in its recruiting. West Virginia hitting big in reloading for already next season while this season is rolling on. Stay with us. More coming up. From Omaha, CityNet Statewide Sportsline.
Feeling under the weather but don't want to leave home? With WVU Medicine Virtual Urgent Care, you can connect with a provider in minutes, right from your phone, tablet, or computer. From cold and flu symptoms to minor injuries and more. Expert care is just a click away. No waiting room, no commute. Available when you need it most, including evenings and weekends. Skip the trip and feel better faster. Visit WVUmedicine.org/virtualuc.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
As West Virginia takes their shot at glory in Omaha and captures the nation's attention, West Virginia businesses are building for the future. When it's time for a new medical facility, hospital expansion, historic renovation, auto dealership, apartment complex, sports complex, or church addition, trust the team that's been helping build West Virginia for more than 25 years. Jarrett Construction delivers design build, construction management, and general contracting services throughout the state of West Virginia. Visit jarrett-construction.com today. WV030133.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
What does it mean to lead in medicine? J.W. Ruby Memorial Hospital is the top hospital in West Virginia, nationally recognized for 3 programs and 18 procedures and conditions. But to us, leadership means being first in care, in lives saved, in lives restored. In medicine, we lead in the ways that truly matter.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the road.
Download MetroNews Television on your iPhone or Android. Search MetroNews Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
CityNet statewide Sportsline continues. Tony Carruth in Omaha. Nebraska with the College World Series continues on. Texas, the big winner over Alabama earlier tonight. A really good game this evening here as the SEC Conference Tournament continues. You're going to have Georgia against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's an interesting story for as far as records go. A pretty benign record. They're still under 40 wins, despite the fact that they were victorious in their first game in this tournament. And they're taking on a Georgia team that some think, has the inside track to win this whole deal. But anyway, those two teams will play tonight. You had 4 SEC teams playing in this tournament on the other side of that bracket earlier, which leads to a whole different set of conversation. As far as, and then we were just having this a little bit ago with some guys. So this thing is so heavily Southern-based, this tournament, even though we're in Middle America, right? It's the Southern schools that perennially are here. And it leads to questions like West Virginia really is the most northern team, right, that's in this tournament field.
Correct.
And it underscores how difficult it is to get to this point. And again, being the sharp, it also, once you get a little bit of this, you go like, okay, how often can this happen? And everyone knows this is the first time it's happened in Mountaineer baseball history, well over 100 years. But things have changed for us. The conference affiliation changed, stadium construction, the financial commitment has changed, and not only financially dollars, but the commitment of scholarships, which will take West Virginia to a whole different level now that it is no longer offering, I think those guys were saying the other night, 11 point whatever it was, 11.5. Now you're fully funded with 30-plus scholarships. So realistically, how often could you make it back to the College World Series, keeping in mind that there are other schools like West Virginia that have as much juice in the game as they do, and the fact, just an example of how hard it is, not one team from a year ago returned to this year's field.
And we've used this stat before because I think this is even more remarkable than no teams have returned, which just think about that for a second. Last year's defending champion LSU didn't even make the tournament this year. So take that
Crazy,
for what it's
right?
worth. I think the bigger stat is only 2 teams in the entire country have made 3 straight supers. So you obviously have to get to the super regional round before you can get to Omaha. There's 2 that have done that, North Carolina and West Virginia over the last 3 seasons. So I think that really underscores how difficult it is to win deep into the playoffs and win when you're in deep May and win when you're in early June. And you can be a quality program, and it is hard to get back to that super regional step, which then gives you the chance to get here. And then it becomes really difficult to win the whole thing once you're here. As I've said on the show a couple of times, Texas has every advantage you could possibly have, every resource you could want. Haven't won it since 2005. So every sport has a tough time. You have a tough time winning a national title. Baseball is extremely difficult.
You could also make the argument this is the hardest national championship to win, and I say that for this reason. In football, okay, it's the college football playoff now, but it didn't used to be that way. It was a one game. You played in the national championship game, for example, 88 Mountaineers. All you had to do was win one, and you're the national champion. Now, college basketball, a little bit different, right? You're going to have to win 6 games to win the national championship, but it's a prorated 6 games, right? If you're literally a contender, you're a 1 or a 2 seed, then you're going to play a 15 or a 16 to start things off, and it gradually gets better, right? You come here, number one, just to get into the regional round, then to get into the super regional, and then when you get here, a double elimination tournament among 4 schools, and then you have to win 2 out of 3 to win the world's championship. That you can make a strong case. This is the hardest thing to earn a national championship in this sport.
It's a hard one. That's a good debate. That would be a good debate between that and what football is now. I think you make the right point. Before, if you could have found your way in and then just taken your swings in a one-game scenario, so be it. But now that war of attrition comes through in football where you're trying to bang how many different weeks to get to the path. But that's what's hard here, and that's what I think is interesting about tomorrow's game is where does Troy stack up in terms of the number of arms it has? It has been through a couple of games where it's used a bunch of pitchers, and that was the question about this West Virginia team, right? Now, it's in good shape pitching-wise, but the sheer number of pitchers it has to roll out isn't double figures deep. You had, 5 that went 30 innings or more this season, so that's one of the challenges. But I think that's a good debate, football versus baseball right now, which is the harder one to win.
And the one thing that won't change looking ahead to tomorrow afternoon's game is, guess what? It doesn't matter who Troy pitches. We still have those same hitters. Those 2, and they're list. Yesterday, and they battled back, and they're offensive.
This is the CityNet statewide Sportsline. Hoppy and Brad having some issues technically from Omaha, Nebraska. And Greg, the point Tony was making there with the 2 big bats that Troy has, Jimmy Janicki has home runs in both of the games that Troy has played in this College World Series.
Yeah, had a big one against West Virginia, though the Mountaineers were able to overcome that. And then the other day in their victory that eliminated Mississippi, he had a huge one that really sort of seemed like the knockout punch for the Rebels in that regard as well. So he's been on fire. And again, not a surprise because this is a Troy baseball team that's hit the ball really all season long, averages almost 8 runs per game in the regular season, up that to nearly 11 in the postseason. So West Virginia's going to have to be able to score tomorrow. Their offense is going to have to be more productive than it was yesterday.
And again, to their point, West Virginia right now is still in solid shape in terms of its pitching because it's got 2 of its main contributors that have not pitched in this College World Series yet, and Dawson Montesa and also Carson Estridge. And those are very reliable arms that are durable. And at some point you can probably bring Cole back because his pitches and his innings were limited. You've got Bassinger, who hasn't thrown much, and, of course, McDougal, who's only thrown to one hitter in this series so far.
You sort of have to suppose, and again, just suppose that Dawson Montesa gets the start tomorrow. But you also have to look at this as 3 games, right? I mean, to get through this and get to where you ultimately want to be in the best of 3 finals at the end, you've got to beat not only Troy tomorrow, but then Kentucky in 2 games as well. So you got to have a bunch of arms available for all that, but it does start tomorrow. Yeah. And I figured Montesa gets the ball to begin with.
But here's the big advantage for North Carolina. Now, was it you or Brad who had the stats about the teams that have started 2-0?
Yeah.
They're generally the teams that win this tournament. If you think of it this way, North Carolina can win this tournament now needing just 3 victories. Yep. They can play 3 games, theoretically, and win the tournament. West Virginia, to win the tournament, has to win 3 games just to get to the best of 3 final. Mm-hmm. So the Mountaineers need 5 wins to win this thing, where North Carolina, again, in theory, can play just 3 more games. If they beat the team who wins this elimination game, they're on to that best of 3 final.
That's why yesterday's game, yesterday's victory was so vital. I mean, puts the back against the wall for the Mountaineers and definitely puts North Carolina in great position for what they do. So, you go out there, see what you can do. This is very much set up like the regional was for the Mountaineers, where Kentucky had come through the winner's bracket and West Virginia had to beat Wake and then had to beat Kentucky twice. Was able to do that, but doesn't get any easier because I think the competition has gotten even tougher. Kentucky was good, Wake was good, but I think North Carolina is better than any of those, probably the best that West Virginia has faced this entire season.
We will take a break here. We'll try to hook back up with Omaha, but this is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. We're inside the Health Plan Studios. Since 1979, the Health Plan has called West Virginia home. From humble beginnings, they've grown alongside West Virginia, becoming a part of its fabric. For over 4 decades, they've been here through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses, proudly serving West Virginia for over 40 years. The Health Plan.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The Health Plan, we are here for you.
Answering a text or phone call while driving seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Ready to make this boating season unforgettable? Head to Lou Wendell Marine Sales, family owned and operated for over 40 years and West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Lou and his sons are boating experts from sales to service to repairs. And right now, their lot is packed with incredible inventory and some of the best deals of the season. Because they don't just sell boats, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com today. Boating season is almost here.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Sunday's round of thunderstorms resulted in numerous reports of damaging winds involving some power outages and downed tree limbs. We get a break from these conditions Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday, scattered thunderstorms that may be capable of some damaging winds, some large hail. We'll monitor any tornado potential. Late Wednesday is when from the northwest the heavy rain threat arrives with a widespread potential for some flooding concerns Thursday and Thursday night. So through the work week, a general 1 to 2 inches expected, locally higher amounts possible. The exception is the eastern panhandle, generally under a ½ inch. This evening, a few showers possible near Elkins. Those conditions will fade away into the overnight hours with a patchwork of clouds lingering. Generally dry Tuesday and into Wednesday. Then it's late Wednesday we look northwest for the arrival of the rain. FlyCRW forecast, it starts at home. You'll find a wet and cooler stretch the next couple of days in Chicago. D.C. getting stormy in the later part of the week, rising to 95 by Thursday. Charlotte trending warmer and generally quieter the next several days. Panhandle forecast. A clear and cool night. Many areas falling below average. 52 Moundsville, 78 here for our Tuesday, 75 Morgantown with some sunshine. Going east, more temperatures in upper 40s and low 50s. Generally finding additional 80s here for our Tuesday. Martinsburg, Petersburg at 81. Davis, a cool spot with 68. We'll see additional temperatures shy of the 50-degree mark tonight with Elkins is 48. 74 here tomorrow, looking to Ripley for 78 with some sun. And then as we go southward, more mid-40s to low 50s, then highs in mid to upper 70s on Tuesday. Trending warmer through Thursday, lingering precipitation Friday, sunny and seasonable Saturday.
Our Metro News programming from Omaha is brought to you by Jarrett Construction. Right on time, right on budget. Call on Jarrett Construction. License number WV030133. Coach Hunter, let's head over to the text line, 304-8255-304. Got any texts coming in tonight?
Yeah, they're coming in hot and heavy, but let's start with Fred in Clarksburg. Longer text, but I'll get down to the juxt of it. The failed double steal in the top of the third was wiped out our opportunity at that point. I'm not sure the risk was worth the reward. That was obviously Armani Guzman getting tagged out at third base on the attempted double steal. Wasn't tagged, called out initially. One thing to remember, Armani Guzman was 39 of 42 on stolen base attempts prior to that. He'd just stolen home. That was a risk as well in the game before. You're going to take a risk, but it took a great throw by North Carolina's catcher to make that thing even close. I mean, you're going to take a risk. That's my thought. Brad, you? Kyle, you?
Well, and this team takes risks. That's what it does. It's aggressive on the base pass, and again, it took a 5-minute review to overturn that, what's really called safe. The other thing, guys, from inside the stadium, which you could see pretty clearly, is North Carolina had backed off significantly from a shortstop and second baseman perspective from even bluffing as if they were holding Guzman. The third baseman was back as well. I'm actually surprised he didn't go a little bit earlier on that. So he got the look he was looking for, and again, it's a matter of a couple inches max that he doesn't get in there and maybe changes the whole game.
Yeah, I would say this. West Virginia wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that aggressive style that Steve Sabins uses. That would be one of the things that I would kind of like point out. Now, if that worked and they call him safe, then everyone today, and let's just keep playing it forward, and they score runs off of that, then everyone's raving about Steve and his aggressive play and how it's leading West Virginia to success. So, no, it was literally a half a second, a quarter of a second away from being a great play, and that's just sports, man. That's just kind of what happens.
Next text coming up. I've come in late to your conversation, but to me the tone was set when the umpire missed the swing and strike and called hit by pitch in the first inning to open the door for 2 runs. Travis and I were on the air at that point. I didn't get to, we had the TV sets on, but I didn't get to view. You guys probably did. Your thoughts there?
I don't know that I totally disagree. I think that was a common question among Mountaineer fans was about that call. And, yeah, again, that's another one of those that if that goes in your favor, potentially changes the face of that first inning and therefore potentially the game.
You know, Max, after the situation that he had in the regional, that was a tense situation when he started that game. You needed him to be able to go. And I know he came back in the regional and played wonderfully, but you still had that in your head. And he needed to get through that first inning. That was a big. If he could have got out of that first inning, we saw what he did in the innings afterward. And so, yeah, it's extremely unfortunate that they gave up the 2 there because, again, it'll always go back into Mountaineer lore right now. Like you look back on it and go, what if? What if he pitched a goose egg in that first inning? What would have happened and what transpired? So that's a good point.
Yeah, you can make an argument that the succeeding innings from him after the first were about as well as anybody has pitched in a long, long time for West Virginia. I thought he was outstanding. All right, and final text comment. It says, just wipe the dirt off, let's get busy and get a victory tomorrow so we can right the ship. So it's all you can do at this point, right? You're not dead yet, but you do need a victory tomorrow.
No, you're not. You're not, and I know Brad has that stat, and it's a very overwhelming stat of what happens to teams that don't win their first game, but there's always an exception, right? And Coastal Carolina, when President Benson was there, right? They won their first, like West Virginia, lost their second, then won their next 3 to make it to the championship series, then lost their first, and then won the next 2 to win the championship. So it rarely happens, but it has. And so I think that's what you kind of got to wrap your arms around.
Yeah, and if you're West Virginia, you're just looking at the next one, right? You've got to get 1 before you can go get 3 more, and you do have some pitching options. What's Dawson Montesa have left in him after he came back and was so good in the regional and got the win against Wake and then came on in relief against Kentucky? Ben McDougal is ready to go. Carson Estridge, we have not seen him yet, and I won't be surprised to see Chance and Cole get a few innings tomorrow. He only threw, 55 pitches back on Friday against Troy the first round, so I think we got most of those guys available, and you go after it tomorrow and you see if you can get this Troy team again.
You know, Chanson goes into the role that Max Yale had to in the regional, right?
Yes.
Your thing was to bring Max back. Could everything go, and can you get Max back? Well, now Chanson, you're going to get your opportunity to go back, and you can only cross your fingers and hope that he would come out. If, in fact, they do use him, then he would be able to throw. And my gut tells us that he would.
And that's why I find it interesting, Greg. You mentioned earlier you thought Dawson Montesa might get the ball. I could see that you go with Montesa on the mound, see if he can give you another gem. Can he get you 7 or get deep into that game? Then you can patch it together between McDougal, Bassinger, and Estridge. And if you're in a position to win that, then you turn around and you have Cole come back, and it's almost identical to the Max Yale situation in the regional. So be interesting to watch that coming up tomorrow.
Guys, we had mentioned earlier about what this is doing, Greg, recruiting-wise, and I know you've got a football recruit that you want to chat about here in a moment, but recruiting-wise for West Virginia, you need to take advantage of moments like this. As Kyle said earlier, you can't make this up in regard to the national attention, the story that's being told, the narrative that's being written about West Virginia University baseball across the nation. And it looks as though the Mountaineers staff has done just a fantastic job of optimizing their success. Recruiting-wise, Brad, they are getting dudes.
It is the CityNet statewide sports line.
You know, but they made a good point, and it's it's so important that West Virginia's baseball program take advantage of the notoriety and where they are right now, because there are recruits all over. And we've talked about this before. West Virginia's been there in football, they've been there in basketball, and they've gotten great acclaim during those runs. But those teams had to turn around and face on the recruiting trail the Ohio States, Penn State, Pitt, whomever in football. Obviously, we know the basketball teams that came out of the East that were still really difficult. You don't really have that in baseball. I mean, now the East isn't going to produce as many players as California or Florida, but we've seen plenty of good players in Western Pennsylvania, and it's not like West Virginia has to fight behemoths in Pennsylvania or anywhere in the Northeast, or really throughout most of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You got this territory to yourself in a lot of ways right now, and you need to make hay.
That is true. And again, you can dominate this portion of the country in terms of recruiting, and you can tell those people, well, you can come to Morgantown and see your son play against some, in one of the best conferences in the country. So you're right. I mean, it is a tremendous opportunity to recruit in this this eastern part of the country.
Yeah, and you have now with the biometric center, you've got some technology and facilities that others don't have, and that you can use to sell to recruits, whether they're transfers, junior college kids, or high school kids.
We need to take a break. We do have a little bit of a football story to talk about. We'll do that when we return. We'd like to remind you that the 2026 West Virginia Scholar Program has been a huge success. High school juniors from all across the state have applied. We're down to 15 finalists. Now we need your help. Please go to WVMetroNews.com and vote for your favorite finalists. By casting your vote, you can help determine who will win a full scholarship to West Virginia Wesleyan. That includes room, board, tuition, and fees. Just log on to WVMetroNews.com. Click the Vote Now button and cast your vote. You have until midnight to help us change the life of a West Virginia student and their family forever. Cast your vote today by clicking the button at WVMetroNews.com. As a matter of fact, Metro News Talk Line will come your way. It'll come our way from West Virginia Wesleyan this week. That's Wednesday of this week in just a couple of days. So stay tuned for that. We'll all find out together who wins that West Virginia Wesleyan scholarship. We'll take a break. We've got more coming up on the CityNet Statewide Sportsline.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. Fiber is now at your front door and even in rural areas and communities across West Virginia. Thanks to broadband expansion funding, your tax dollars helped make it possible. And CityNet turned that investment into real connections for local families and businesses. Now, you can get blazing fast fiber internet with free installation, free equipment, no long-term contract, and local customer support that's always close to home. Don't settle for slow or no internet for another day. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps. And never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
As West Virginia takes their shot at glory in Omaha and captures the nation's attention, West Virginia businesses are building for the future. When it's time for a new medical facility, hospital expansion, historic renovation, auto dealership, apartment complex, sports complex, or church addition, trust the team that's been helping build West Virginia for more than 25 years. Jarrett Construction delivers design build, construction management, and general contracting services throughout the state of West Virginia. Visit jarrett-construction.com today. WV030133.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We are here for you.
Ready to make this boating season unforgettable? Head to Lou Wendell Marine Sales, family owned and operated for over 40 years and West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Lou and his sons are boating experts from sales to service to repairs. And right now, their lot is packed with incredible inventory and some of the best deals of the season. Because they don't just sell boats, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com today. Boating season is almost here.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. and they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
CityNet statewide Sportsline continues from Morgantown. We had some issues from Omaha, so we're going to let them get started on their barbecue a little bit early. So we've cut them loose, but we can still take your text 304 Talk 304. That's the number to call. And Tony was talking about baseball recruiting. There's always seems to be football recruiting news as well.
Boy, doesn't there? You know, I keep saying this time of year is usually pretty hot and heavy, but it's been about as hot and heavy as I remember it. West Virginia picks up its 20th overall verbal commitment for the class of 2027. Yet again, these are high school guys who just finished their junior years, going to be seniors next year, can sign in December. So we're a long ways from them signing, but West Virginia already has 20 verbals for the next class, and they picked up an offensive lineman, just a second offensive lineman, a kid from right outside of Atlanta, Juwan Graham, who's from Tucker High School, like I said, in Atlanta, or outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Big kid, 6'3", but he's 320, and he's a road grading beast. He plays tackle in high school and also defensive tackle, but almost certainly is going to be an interior offensive lineman once he gets to college. Had a nice offer list in front of him. Just visited WVU this past weekend and decided to verbal to the Mountaineers over offers from North Carolina, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and a bunch of others. So ends up with a nice offer list and ultimately commits to West Virginia. Like I said, with that size, moves well, but just a pure road grader. Even as a defensive lineman, just pancakes people and then just sorts them out and goes and finds a ball carrier. But he's going to be an interior guy for West Virginia. Like I said, just a second offensive line commit in this class, but the 20th overall. And it's a class that right now most of the recruiting services have in the top 30 in the country. So above where West Virginia often rates, but there's still recruits and verbals to be had for this class. West Virginia probably, like I said, 20 now. They'll get into the mid-30s at least, I would expect. I mean, it's just a different age when you take a lot more commits than you used to. And that's before you get into the transfer realm.
Also, there's Sorsby news today.
Yeah.
And it seems like
every day there's Sorsby news.
Every day there's Sorsby news. So this saga continues, and the Big 12 has filed a federal lawsuit today in the Northern District of Texas seeking both a declaratory judgment and injunctive relief to allow the league its authority to use its bylaws. So in other words, let us enforce our rules.
Mm-hmm.
The filing seeks a judgment that the First Amendment protects the conference's right to invoke its authority under its bylaws to sanctions related to handling of the sports activity discussed in this complaint. And the move is a legal counter to a letter from the Texas Attorney General from last week, which warned that any sanctions imposed by the Big 12 would be, quote, unlawful and countered by legal action. Also, the NCAA is claiming the district judge in Lubbock County overstepped his bounds in granting Sorsby the temporary injunction. So they filed an appeal of course, and they have also they've asked for an expedited resolution before the season kicks off. Well, good luck with that. But still, I mean, it's kind of a noble effort there to try and get the thing sped up over the course of really the next 6 or 8 weeks or so.
No, try to get this thing adjudicated faster, because there was the initial appeal of the circuit court's ruling was pushed off until, I think it's February. Mm-hmm. So obviously after the season's over. So what impact will that have? Meaningless at that juncture. So this appeal into federal court would be much quicker. The other interesting aspect of this is, the NCAA has the NFL has a second supplemental draft deadline that's next Monday. So now there's some question of whether he'd even be eligible for that, because you have to have been ruled ineligible in college to be able to get into the supplemental draft. At this point in time, he's still eligible. So anyways, but that supplemental draft deadline is coming up too. So if he wants to try to skip into that, who knows? This whole thing's so bizarre.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he would like to stay and draw his multi-million-dollar paycheck to play for Texas Tech.
Yeah, you have to wonder. I mean, how much of a worry does this put into the NFL's mind that, boy, I don't want to deal with this either. So there are going to be a lot of teams that would pass on that completely.
I would think. Well, again, at the College World Series, you had Texas stave off elimination, beating Alabama today, so they move into an elimination game tomorrow with the loser of the game which will take place tonight, Oklahoma against Georgia. And the winner of that contest will be the winner of they'll be the team in bracket 2 that's 2-0. So they'll match North Carolina.
Yep.
And then, of course, so you'll have 2 elimination games tomorrow. You'll have the West Virginia-Troy game to be followed by, again, Texas against the loser of that Oklahoma-Georgia game. And West Virginia's path, I mean, now they've got to win 3 games in 3 days in order to get to the final. They need to win the game over Troy tomorrow afternoon. That puts them into game 1, or at least back in the bracket with North Carolina, which would take place Wednesday. And if North Carolina wins that one, they advance at 3-0 into the final round. If West Virginia beats Troy, then beats North Carolina on Wednesday, they would have to beat North Carolina again on Thursday to get their way into the championship round.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a path for West Virginia. You got 3 games. You've got to win all 3 as you move on. If you lose one, you're finished.
Yeah, as Tony pointed out, it can be done. Coastal Carolina came out of nowhere and did it a few years back, and I didn't recall. I knew Coastal Carolina had played their way out of the winner's bracket or out of the loser's bracket in their bracket, but I didn't recall that they lost game 1 of the best of 3 championship. So they were up against the wall twice, both in their bracket play and in the best of 3 college baseball championship.
Yep. time for a quick text, and we'll go. Steve from Philippines says, "Hey guys, if there was a right-handed batter up when number 5, which is Armani Guzman, tried to steal third, it would have been a harder throw to get him out, right?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly. It was Paul Schoenfeld who was at the plate, left-handed hitter, so does make for an easier throw. But boy, give the North Carolina catcher credit. It was a great throw.
Put it on the money.
Mhm.
And that's what West Virginia has to do. When you enter the College World Series with 50-some home runs and everyone else has, 30, 40, 50 more, they can produce runs with one swing of the bat. And I know West Virginia, the bats got hot, the power bats got hot in the playoffs, but generally that's not how they had produced runs. My point is when you don't have those guys with 15, 18, 20, 25 home runs, you have to produce runs, and that's what West Virginia does. They run the bases aggressively, and, again, everybody went crazy when Armani Guzman stole home. That's a continuation of that.
Yep. Yeah, you're aggressive. Sometimes it isn't going to go in your favor.
But, again, one of the points of being aggressive is making the other team make a perfect play to get you out. And in that instance, they did it, so that's kind of just how the way it goes. We got to tell you that CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet probably right at your front door. Now's the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust. Fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects. Well, hybrid edition of the Sportsline. We got some good information from Omaha.
Absolutely.
We appreciate them joining us. And, Greg, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. I believe we'll all be back on MetroNews TV on the video
There
tomorrow.
we go. We'll do that after, hopefully, the Mountaineer game is over.
Hopefully we'll have a Mountaineer victory to talk about as they, again, hopefully stay alive in this series with a victory over Troy tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the CityNet Statewide Sportsline.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network. All rights reserved.